Man, this the truth behind the breakup of Desus and Mero. Now, by the time this come out, everybody's gonna be talking about it. But Desus and Mero, the Bodega Boys, they have made it from the internet to mainstream. And when that comes along, it's a whole lot of different aspects that come along with that. It's benchmarks, it's all kind of people, new people in your life, publicists, agents. You're dealing with other people's agents and management, and you got so many people doing things when it just used to be you, your homeboys, and that was it. And y'all turned that into a business, into something, and managing, personalities is different, and then people's personalities change. You know, them coming from like MTV or what was that? It wasn't MTV. Yeah, I think they was on MTV at first. Then they went to another channel, and then they moved on to Showtime. The show kept elevating forward. Now, they had won all kind of awards. They had Joe Biden on there, Barack, Derek Jeter, Denzel Washington. I'm like, damn. Look at that. I'm like, they getting that AA list. These are some bodega boys. Now, one of the problems that happened between the two, because a lot of people really didn't notice until the podcast show ended in November. And that's when it all went down. Like, this has been like almost 6, 7 months ago. So they already knew that they weren't coming back for another season and that everything was ending. It's just that the public didn't know. Now, the manager, Victor Lopez, is one of the producers of the show. He's been with them since the beginning, like they Bodega Boys. And with success came a lot of like people get power hungry and power drunk. And I see everybody's side in this, but there have been reports, of abusive behavior from Victor Lopez. The way he treats staff of Showtime. And, even though he's a producer of the show, there's just a way you go about doing things. And this happened 2 years ago. There was an incident. Um, and I think it delayed a taping. And they had just moved into the new facility, and something he felt wasn't right, and something with the staff that they requested or whatever, and he took it to a whole nother level. And most of these people who've been in the business that work for Showtime, they have been doing this for a long time, or they've been in this business doing what they do for a long time. So they pretty much experienced, but they know not to engage in any type of yelling back and forth. They're not going to do that with you. They're going to complain to who's ever in charge. So the main bosses of Showtime would reach out and say, hey, light touch. That's what they normally say. Hey, just light touch. Just keep it light. Just express what you want to express. Talk to this person. You know, and they'll talk to one person, and that's how Victor normally did it. It wasn't like he did this all the time, but then it got this past year or past season, there were a lot more blowups. And Desus had a major problem with this. He's like, look, we done came all the way up here, man, and we got this far. And this dude keep blowing stuff out of proportion, and I'm not finna go back to being the bodega boy just cause his ego. And he about to mess this up. So Showtime was talking about, look, man, this Victor Lopez guy, this management guy you got, and Jesus was like, man, I agree. 100%. So once they know they got dissension in the ranks, Showtime would lean more towards Desus because they already know he shares their same views. Mero is not that guy. He's more with Victor than anybody. Like, no, man, he's our boy. That's loyalty. I ain't finna, man. F Showtime. Jesus is different. Jesus is like, that's not professional. And he's gonna screw us up. So they have a big argument once he finds out that Jesus is siding with the company, Showtime, rather than riding with their boy. Like, man, that's our boy. F Showtime. We'll get bigger than that. We don't need Showtime. We'll go to Netflix. So he's talking about doing a show on Netflix and leaving Showtime. He's like, look, we could take the show to Netflix. We don't need Showtime. F them. And he's like, nah, man, I ain't in agreement with working with Victor. He's really pissed at Victor himself. So he's like, and then he's like noticing a difference in Mero. Like Mero is becoming more independent, doing things differently. What used to be a line of respect, he started to get a little bit more disrespectful too. With this success on Showtime. And Jesus is like, hey, like I've noticed, a change in you too. And he just like not with it no more. So they couldn't come to an agreement. And that's basically how it was. It was like, look, we'll just end it and we go our separate ways. And he signed with William Morris Agency, switched agencies. Mero did. He split, got his own agency, and started representing himself as he was going to go out and do a deal. But they were talking about doing a deal and taking the show to Netflix. But they were still under contract with Showtime. So I don't know what Jesus Nice is going to do. But this thing has been over since November. And neither one of them has spoken about it. Showtime just said that they weren't coming back up. So that now Desus and Mero is done. It just goes to show you how money and vision could ruin everything. Desus might stay there and do the show by himself. And they might have somebody else stay there. I don't think it was beef. I think it was more professional than anything. They kept it respectful because they did put in a lot of time together and help build the show, but it was like not one man carrying the whole show. It took both of them. And his loyalty to Victor, that's just mainly what it was. And they, Showtime, didn't want him as a producer no more. They wanted to cut ties with Victor Lopez. They were not going to move forward with him on the team. And Mero is not going to continue to do the job unless Victor is there. riding with Victor Lopez, why Desus 100% says hell to the no. So I agree. I agree 100% with how Desus feels. And I understand Mero. Mero is looking like this dude has been loyal to us from 21 Jump Street. We not going out now. So that's that. Will there be another Desus and Mero reunion? Probably down the road. Yeah. I mean, they personally didn't want to go and get at each other. Like they want to take each other's head off. It was never that situation. The situation that they possessed was well, what was going on with them was entirely different. This is business more than it was personal. I'm thinking at the end of the day, most people would kill to have what they had. To come up from where they came from, that's very rare. You know? Nobody really come from the internet and go as far as they did. I mean, they were killing it. Some people say they were getting $1 million per episode. I don't know. Most people, it's hard to gauge that because they have sponsorships that come in. They probably got more than that. You know, I don't know their money situation. I can care less about that. The part that got me was that they split, you know, and I felt like they should have still been together, making the money and moving forward. They should never have been in a situation where one man, because of his views, ruin and wrecks the whole show. Now, if Showtime was dirty, because we never heard Victor Lopez's side of the story, but if Showtime was dirty and they did something just because they didn't like him, maybe that was the case. Maybe what he was arguing for was right. But as of right now, that's not what's on the table. Because this is being leaked out deliberately to the press. So these are people from Showtime and inside Showtime that is leaking this information out to the general public. See, when they do stuff like this, it's so it don't stick on them. They'll give the media and pundits all of the information they need so that they'll know what time it is. But it won't stick back to them because Showtime won't say nothing. See? But they're the ones who leak this information. Now, if you look around at the total picture, you're going to say to yourself, well, I don't see the problem. Like, I don't see what the big deal really is. What's the big hoorah? What's the problem here? It's no real problem. It's just a situation. And when you're dealing with people who are in a situation where they don't understand the plight of what other people see and what they produce, it becomes an even more bigger problem than you can ever imagine. Well, you got to understand, the world does not have time for another useless man. So I'm looking forward to see what happens with Desus. I see Mero's making his rounds, doing his solo runs, still sticking his face out there. Now that the show is over, they've been making appearances solo now, no longer together. So their professional relationship is done. I don't know about friendship, but that might be severed. But I would never rule out them coming back together to do something. So on that note, it's your boy Carceno. I'm out. Peace.